What happens when Jersey City's favorite defender, Kamala Khan, is forced to come up against the likes of the terrifying and destructive Super-Skrull? Well, let's hop to the pages of Ms.Marvel Annual #1 and find out. Alrighty then, so this comic is the first of what will actually be many new annuals that are actually tie-ins to this whole Acts of Evil thing that they're trying at Marvel right now. Basically, it's an updating of an old Marvel event called Axis of Evil, where essentially all the heroes would trade their villains with interesting results. And in this case, we're dealing with Kl'rt, aka the OG Super-Skrull, aka the current emperor of the Skrull Empire. Although admittedly it's an empire far past its prime. They lost Throne World a long time ago and they've never really managed to rebuild themselves since. Kl'rt is met by a mysterious intergalactic merchant calling himself Captain Miracle, or Scott Kree as the Skrulls have nicknamed him. I see what you did there. Miracle comes with a proposition for Kl'rt, something that should be able to return the Skrulls to their former glory. A device that would allow him to transform an entire planet and its populace in the same way the Skrulls are able to change their own genetic makeup. Miracle recommends trying this device out on Earth as revenge for what went down with Throne World, but there's a catch. For the device to work, it's going to need to piggyback on the shape-changing matrix of another being, probably one who had their genetics manipulated by the Kree, and you know, he wouldn't ask any of the Skrulls to do it, but there is someone on Earth who fits that bill. That would be the inhuman superhero Kamala Khan, who's just living her life in Jersey City trying to make it through a record heat wave with her friend Bruno when chaos erupts as a brand new constrictor decides to strike. Ms. Marvel wastes a little too much time changing into her costume, only to find out that the constrictor has already been beaten by a brand new superhero calling themselves, well, Captain Hero. A pretty generic name to be sure, and one that almost certainly seems fake. What isn't fake, though, is the positively dastardly whooping that Captain Hero puts on this poor new constrictor, beating him half to death. Obviously, as you probably guessed, Captain Hero is the shape-changing Kl'rt in disguise. He figures that if he can masquerade as a hero, it'll allow him to get closer to Ms. Marvel and spring his trap. What the Super-Skrull probably never considered, though, is the general apathy of Earthling teenagers. Kamala tries to introduce herself to Captain Hero, but once she gets a major creep vibe, she decides to stay away. Oh yeah, sure buddy, whatever, we'll team up sometimes in the future, you know, just maybe stop trying to kill people, that would be great, please don't make that my problem. Seeing as that plan didn't go over the way he wanted, Kl'rt decides that the next best thing would be to continue to brutalize criminals on Earth, offending Ms. Marvel's honor and forcing her to come out and fight him. Of course, the Super-Skrull doesn't really understand that Ms. Marvel only kinda sorta fights crime on her own within the Jersey City limits, and he's going after guys like Arcade. While Ms. Marvel really only deals with her own colorful group of supervillains, like this lady right here, She-Bang, a light-based supervillainist who only robs retro shops. She's like Jubilee, only, you know, evil and with a name that might lead you to believe that she was from the Milestone universe. Naturally, Ms. Marvel has no problem dealing with this kind of threat, but Captain Hero decides to butt on in, threatening to take this situation from brutal to positively deadly. Obviously, Ms. Marvel can't stand by and watch even a villain get executed, and as such, the fight is on. When Kl'rt does eventually take his full form as the Super-Skrull, he gives a big villainous speech about how 100 years of Skrull justice will be delivered upon the Earth, starting with Ms. Marvel. Now, what Ms. Marvel should really have said in this situation is, dude, I wasn't even alive when Throne World was destroyed. What is your beef with me? That doesn't happen. Instead, Kamala is her positive, uplifting, inspiring hero self saying, hey, you know, let's work this out. I'm sorry about the destruction of your world. I bet if I was alive back then, I would have tried to help. It's here, too, that Super-Skrull decides to activate the device that Captain Miracle had given him, and it actually starts working, changing, and altering the very world around him. Ms. Marvel is severely weakened by the device, and in fact, she might have been killed, too, were it not for the intervention of She-Bang. Hey, how about that? The villain just got showed mercy, and because of that is paying it forward. Wouldn't you know it, the device that Kl'rt had been sold by Captain Miracle turns out to be very, very flimsy and gets destroyed after one hit. Now, the Super-Skrull might be evil, but he's not dumb. He knows that this fight is pretty much over now. His plan is finished, he's been screwed, and worse still, Kamala won't stop monologuing at him. If nothing else, though, his run-in with Ms. Marvel did kinda seem to have an effect on him. Maybe Kamala had a point. Maybe he should stop obsessing about the past. The old Skrull Empire is is never coming back. And perhaps instead of looking for quick fixes and buying stuff from shady flim-flam men, Kl'rt should be working on building a better Skrull empire. Whether that's for good or for evil is left open for interpretation as the comic ends. And so that was Ms. Marvel Annual issue number 1, Acts of Evil, and I gotta say, I actually kind of enjoyed this one-shot story. Despite being called a Ms. Marvel story, it's actually much more about the Super-Skrull, which works for me. He's an interesting character and doesn't get a lot of page time these days. He's definitely a great foe who could work with just about anyone, but I think by far the person who steals this issue is actually Captain Miracle himself. I love this idea of an evil Faustian merchant selling highly elaborate and highly defective revenge schemes to other villains. I have to wonder, is he going to keep coming back in these Acts of Evil story? If so, I think that would be great. This character deserves to be a lot more than just a one-off. As far as things I didn't like, and admittedly this is a minor nitpick, I wasn't a huge fan of how Kamala was rendered in this book. She's been pretty consistent across all of her different series, but here you can really tell someone's drawing her who's never drawn her before. Looked just a little too anime for my taste. Overall, I did enjoy this one. It did knock my socks off, but I had a fun time with it, and maybe you will too. A 7.5 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos available from my channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you're feeling in a supportive mood, why not check out my Patreon page. Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And, oh yeah, the jacket, was a gift actually. Someone bought it for me off my Amazon wish list, which I also have, and you can also find linked down in the description. Didn't think anyone would actually buy me a Slytherin jacket. Put it mostly on there for a laugh. But hey, it's the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter, so I figured might as well wear it, show it off, and, you know, thank the person who bought it for me. So, until we meet again, everyone, bye-bye.